Simon, have you managed to listen to that new Malo Carpetan album yet?
Nope.
Huh. Well, I really like it. We have a lot of tastes in common, don't we? Like, we're really brothers from another mother.
Yeah.
Well, do you mind if I play it for you?
No.
Too bad. I'm gonna play it for you. What's going on, y'all? Brainsmasher back again with a collection update. How y'all doing out there? We're gonna be playing Simon from Explosive Action, the new Malo Carpetan Vertumnus Caesar. So many people are wildly fanatic about this album. It was on the end of a top of a lot of year-end lists last year. Yeah, so we are forcing Simon to listen to the goddamn album because it's great. Love it. Can't believe how this band gets better every time. So you'll obviously hear lots of 80s heavy metal things. In fact, I did a review of this album for Heavy Metallurgy, and I'll put a link in the description for you to watch it. Please do so. But I've gotten a ton of stuff in the last my whole life. So it's really hard to put these videos together over the last few years because I don't shoot them as regularly as I get in lots of albums. I've built 4 shelves up here on the wall now, and they're filling in, as well as, I got this thing over here. Oh, I got a new Napa Valley. And then I've got a rack over here full of CDs. So I am burying myself in CDs in this room as well. But, so I just a random smattering of things that I've acquired over the last few months. I just recorded and released, I think, no. After this video, I'm going to be doing my 15th episode of my new podcast, Brainsmasher Smashcast. Please check it out. I really, really, really enjoy doing it. I really think I've been getting a lot of positive feedback on it. You can now listen to it on Apple, whatever Apple does. So it's on every streaming thing you can think of. Spotify, Apple, Google, all the things. It's fun. And also my last video on my YouTube channel was episode 13. Yeah, 13. I don't know. Of it. So I'm ecstatic about it because I'm having fun doing it. It's something I didn't realize that I've always wanted to do. It's just me playing songs like an old radio show. So check it out. All right, stuff I've gotten in. This is really going to be hard to talk over because, first of all, this album doesn't deserve to be talked over. And lots of distracting, headbanging parts that are so cool and occultish. Tomorrow, me and my buddy Tony are going to a secret record store. I don't want to give away the secret because I don't want you to go there and get all the cool stuff. But found a couple of goodies there last time I was there. In fact, that was the first time I was there, and I was blown away. So I have had bootlegs of these in my collection for many, many years, and I'm able to now replace them with legit copies. I can't believe I came across these things. This is Allegiance with Bloodorn Sulfur. I'm not sure what that translates to, but this is a Swedish band that kind of never really got their due. I don't really know why. This is killer stuff. And I would put this in with the examples of albums that Peter Tätkren, Abyss Studios, didn't make sound boring and cookie cutter like a lot of other albums that he did. So I don't want to just hop into this talking shit about a guy. Yeah, I do. But yeah, great, like Swedish Viking metal. here's the thing, like, it sounds great, and it sounds like a lot of contemporaries of this, 90s black metal style. But I kind of feel like, while they sound great, I think usually with Viking metal, the characteristic sound is a little more earthy sounding, in a way, less polished sounding. Like, think about Enslaved's Frost or Elt. I think those things sound very unique, and I think Pitten did a great job making Enslaved and many other bands sound the way their material ought to have sounded. This stuff sounds great. However, I just feel like there is room for improvement on the personality of these records to sound a little bit more unique. But yeah, if you haven't, so like this has the drummer from, the first drummer from Marduk in it, so very capable in the rhythm section. Yeah, great albums. They did a third album called Vred, which I have always had a original copy of, but man, I just can't believe I found these out in the wild. Here's another thing. In fact, I'm a little leery of really bad glare here. I'm a little leery of showing this because this is the highly sought after album, but in the chance that you friends will perhaps seek this out and at least just listen to it, this is a fucking unbelievable banger. The band is called Rise, Shadow of Ruins. Those of you who follow me on Patreon have probably already heard me talk a lot about this, but yeah, that's a hard to find OG guy. Southern California death metal. It's not very unique. It doesn't reinvent really any wheels. It's just so solidly written in the styles. Your Bolt Throwers reminds me a little bit of Asheron at times. It's just really solid, right down the middle lane, perfectly executed, recorded, and written, memorable, catchy, and just blasty, headbanging death metal. It's so good, and I'm just kind of surprised that not more people have mentioned this band. I was friends with the drummer of this band. In fact, this is the same drummer from Evil Dead, Annihilation of Civilization, Evil Dead. He was also in Noctuary. Also around this time, I think this came out in 98. I'm not sure quite exactly when. But I was friends with this drummer on AOL, and his username was Rob Rise God back then. And for some reason, I've just been kind of nostalgic about the AOL days when I was getting into metal. In fact, it was actually, I ran into Will from Biolic last year at a show, and he and I used to talk on AOL long time ago, like 24 years ago. And so Rob was also in those chat rooms that we frequented as young lasses. You're not going to find an original copy of this, and supposedly the members of the band are in disagreement about who gets to do what, or stuff like that. So shout out to my secret friend who sold me her copy of that. I am a very happy boy because of that. Here's another one I thought I would never find a copy of, but someone on Discogs just surprisingly let this go for fairly cheap. Simon, right? This is good. You asshole. Are you dead? Completely dead. That's the answer. Look, there's me. I don't really know much about this band, actually. I want to say it was Pat's Ground Zero Salem did a video probably 5 years ago now about good bands with stupid names, and I think this is where maybe I heard about them, a long time ago, but like the first time I heard somebody like explain what they're like. This is one of those in that niche genre that I've been really exploring, like thrash, late thrash, early death metal. I want to say they're from Germany. And this is a collection of, I believe, all of their recorded material. And I think this came out in... Why do I do this every single video? When did you come out? Look at the back. Never there. You look it up. You look it up. It's not blowing me away like I expected it to, but who knows? Someday, maybe that will really hit the mark for me. Last weekend, maybe the one before that, I happened to be listening to the Thomas Erickson podcast. He puts all his episodes on YouTube, so it's super easy to listen to his podcast. Thomas Erickson is in the band Morke, and so he interviews tons of Norwegian black metal musicians. And I just happened to be listening to Au Noir, the GOAT. And so I wound up listening to the episode where he interviewed Apollyon from Au Noir. And they were talking about the very, very early days of Darkthrone, who are one of my absolute favorite bands. And I've been listening to... so there was a box set that Peaceville put out a couple years ago called Shadows of Iconoclasm. And it contained a couple of touched up, better sounding live recordings of the band when they did like TV appearances. I think there was like 2 TV appearances, maybe 2 live shows or something from back in the day. And one of them was like soundboard audio. It's just got really great sound, and it hasn't been released anywhere before. I've been listening to that quite a bit, so I've been in the mood for like really early Darkthrone. And I think it's really fascinating to kind of like re-understand Soulside Journey and the band's evolution to a black metal band in my mind. And having gotten fascinated with Darkthrone as a teenager, in my mind it was always Soulside Journey death metal, Blazing the Northern Sky black metal, everything else after that black metal. And I think it's very interesting understanding and reimagining kind of how those albums are not so completely opposite one another, if I'm making sense. And so Apollyon was talking about Darkthrone's demos, which I've always just kind of like thought, I don't know, rehearsal, death metal stuff, I don't really care. I've never owned any of these. So Apollyon, I think, was kind of positing that Darkthrone actually were trying to be a black metal band before Soulside Journey was ever composed and released. So do with that whatever you want. That's not something I'm saying I'm agreeing with necessarily. I'm curious to hear what you guys think about that. It's just a fun place to kind of dwell. And so I've been listening to this stuff and just kind of like rethinking this as very early Norwegian black metal, which I'm not saying it is whatsoever. I'm just, I'm entertaining that idea while listening to a great band. So this is a pretty good definitive collection. It also puts the song at the end of it, God of Disturbance and Friction, is a great, maybe the best post Panzerfaust song Darkthrone ever did. And it was exclusive to a Moonfog compilation that was called Crusaders from the North Part 2, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, this was really easy to pick up on the cheap, and now I have all their demos on CD. Again, I've been really like getting some cheap stuff, digging around, finding some very low price, low rent gems. I've got a couple of vinyl here. Picked up this one, Accessory with Within Your Mind. What a cover. I love that airbrush 90s stuff. Oh, that's great. This is another Dark Symphonies release. of the band's Soul album, Within Your Mind. There's an alternative cover to it as well. And then a couple of demos at the end of that. Accessory, I don't really know much about them, but this was a German band. Album originally 92. The demos were 90, 91, 92, and I think the album might have been like 93 or so. I want to say... Sorry. I want to say that was like a YouTube thing that just came up. Really, really good. Thrashy death metal. I'm just trying to think of a way to explain, like... Thrashy death metal doesn't sound right. It's like early death metal that was evolving from thrash. If that makes sense, then great. Here's something... I see everybody posting about Rotting's Crushed album. It's got this album cover that, like, it's so dumb. It's really one of those, like, it's a typical album cover and band name, and just kind of everything about it is typical, but it got kind of swept under the rug around the turn of the century, but looking back, it's actually pretty decent. I'm not super crazy about that album Crushed, but I did wind up checking out this band's demos, and they were released on a compilation. First, CDR by the band, self-released, and then CDN Records reissued the compilation of demos in a little bit better quality. The demos are fucking great. I love this material. This is probably what I've been listening to the most over the last couple of months. God, my glare game is so bad right now. But here, they're Rotting. The cover is horrible, but dude, this stuff is so good. They even went as far as, like, trying to make this look like some sort of Linux desktop kind of thing or something. I don't understand what they were going for, but just perfect Canadian death metal. Great tonality on this stuff. I can't really say anything about it that would tell you how it's different from other stuff. You're just gonna have to check this out. So good. The first demo on it, I want to say, what is the most recent, and 95. Let's just throw that out there. How about some vinyl? So I'm finally coming around to this album. It's the only full length they ever released, and this album is no stranger to me. A lot of people post about it as a cult classic kind of thing, and I've checked it out several times. I've never owned it, and it's just never really hit a mark for me at all. It's just, for some reason, it just always sounded really sloppy and crappy, and one of those timepieces that people use as like a monument of posturing themselves to elevate a true black metal sort of release or whatever. And I wouldn't necessarily say that isn't true, but for some reason I just wound up randomly downloading this recently, listened to it, and it fucking clicked, and I loved it and bought it on LP and CD. The CD is coming on the way, but this is Bestial Summoning with the Dark War Has Begun. I can't even quite remember what prompted me to revisit this album, but I'm so glad I did. It's just so savage and gnarly and unholy. No Fashion originally. This was the first No Fashion release, if I'm not mistaken. Then I want to say Osmos put out a version of this later too. I might be confusing a few things there, but so it kind of sounds like maybe a sloppier or maybe less crusty sort of version of Hellhammer. It is very, very black metal. I would be surprised if these guys weren't just straight up copying Hellhammer in some sort of way. But I don't know. I guess this is a little bit more second wave black metal to me than something like Hellhammer. It's so fucking good. The band apparently says that this was improvised 100% in the studio, which I'm having a hard time entirely believing, but there definitely is an abundance of moments where like the drummer and the guitar player are not doing the same thing, and then the other one switches to doing what the other one is post facto. And it is clumsy, but the savagery and like the barbaric tone and style of it overall makes that make sense. It makes it a fun thing. It makes it so loose and just raw. Its tone though is very nice. Usually with this kind of thing, it usually sounds like utter garbage. Total garbage. But this actually, I think, sounds really, really good. In fact, I've been picking up a guitar a little bit here and there, messing around out in the garage. And if I really had an ounce of skill in my body, I would try and put together something that sounded quite a bit like this. I love how this is hitting me right now. I don't know why. It just never clicked. I think as I'm getting more old and haggard, I feel like I'm asking a little bit less of my black metal to be complex or original or different or intellectual. The savagery and the monochromatic thinking behind this is so satisfying to me right now. Check this out. The Dark War has begun. I think this is supposed to be like a monk with his dumbass haircut on there. What a good thing. Comes with insert. So these guys were from the Netherlands, and they did a couple of splits, couple of demos, rehearsal stuff. I haven't really gone and checked any of that stuff out. I just can't imagine any of it's going to be nearly as cool as this. Oh, this part is so good. It's so hard to talk over this album because this is amazing. It reminded me that I need to get on. I'm supposed to be doing an interview with Adam from this band, and I haven't been working on that at all. What I have been working on, however, I'll just give you a little preview here. Talked about this on my Patreon a little bit, but there you go. That's what I'm working on. More to come on that. Baptism, Grim Arts of Melancholy. Eric Bauer posted one of these guys' records the other day, and it was like a punch in the gut when I remembered how much I love this album. This is one of my favorite Finnish black metal records. Oh, it's so dark. It's so obsidian night. This is so bleak and hateful and raw. Oh, man. I don't feel great about having this on my channel. Mikko Aspa is a fucking piece of trash. But dude, this album is so bleak. I have some special memories where, I don't know. Let's see. I lost my license because I got an OWI. I lost it for like 3 months or something. And I wound up having to take the bus to work. And I was working 2 jobs at the time. And it was the dead of fucking winter. And I was having to walk probably like 5 miles a day or something to and from the bus stops. And the only thing that got me through was listening to music on my headphones, on my Zune. And this was an album that I was so obsessed with. And I remember actually walking home from the bus stop one night, and I was listening to this album. And I actually walked around my block the long way because I wanted to finish this album. Trudging through foot-deep snow and my boots, soaked pants. But I just couldn't stop listening to this album. And the atmosphere of walking through the snow at night just sucked me in. And like those experiences mixed with the sounds of black metal sometimes just makes me love an album so much more. And I'd only had it on CD, so I picked it up on LP. Pretty cheap. I think this is like a second pressing of it. Don't support Northern Heritage if you can help it. I think I bought that from Discogs. Let's see. Also from that secret store, I filled a gap in my collection from Necropolis Records releases that I definitely collect. But I've wanted this for so long, but it's definitely not like one of the better releases on this label. It isn't hard to find one, however. Vonder with Strid. I think that's how you say that. Star Wars black metal from Sweden. So this is members of Abruptum, Ophthalmia, War. Dude, this is why I had to own this thing. I'm sure you've seen this like yeah, No Mercy. About that. What do you think about that? And I love that it has this little sticker that says pure evil. In case you didn't know, this CD is pure evil. I don't think anybody ever reissued this because it's not great. It is very intentionally nasty black metal. I think most people would agree that they were joking when they did this, because it's Star Wars themed. Everything about this is Star Wars. But yeah, I love Necropolis. That if I was going to get a record label tattooed on my leg, it would be the Necropolis logo. And I can't believe I found that out in the wild. I think I'm going to do a video talking about all the Necropolis releases that matter. Yeah. Also related to a podcast, the guys in Radical Research, who just did I Am Beaming. Jeff Wagner and Hunter Ginn did a little tiny shout out to yours truly, and it tickled my little heart, and really, really cool. Check out what they had to say about me.
Yeah, I just want to thank Ben Brainsmasher, as he's known online.
Oh, yes.
Who just said some incredibly kind things about us today.
Oh,
And we were tagged on a post. Ben is a scholar and a gentleman, and just a guy that aligns with us in every possible way. And I was just really humbled and grateful for those kind words.
I like hearing his name, Ben Smasher, of course. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thanks, Ben, and everybody else.
So thank you, Radical Research. I love you guys. I love your podcast. You are doing what I do so much better than any of us do. You guys are high art of lowbrow YouTube entertainment. They're not on YouTube, but whatever, Listen to Radical Research, the podcast. You're going to learn something. They did an episode where they talked about a couple releases that they loved from last year. And I wound up picking up the new Afterbirth, which came cracked to shit in the mail from Bandcamp. I bought these guys' last album, and it didn't really do much for me. But so the Radical Research guys definitely convinced me that I should give this a listen. I'm enjoying it. I like it. It is technical. It is definitely a brutal kind of death metal, but it is just taking it to such a highbrow, artistic kind of vision that it's been really, really fascinating to hear that kind of style taken to a new level. And there's so many genres that feel like they are realized to the fullest extent that could possibly be, and that we're all just like spinning our wheels, making the same albums over and over and over again. It's really refreshing to hear a band actually prove that isn't true. Malacarpitan, doing cool new stuff as well. So that's In But Not Of But by Afterbirth. Yeah, I'm being cheeky and funny. Let's see. Also picked up. Okay, I need to revisit this and make sure that I don't love it. But upon first listen, that's my review of the new Vemod, which I'm shocked by because I was enthralled by seeing these guys live. Their album certainly was no disappointment, but this just, I'm not clicking with it. It's called The Deepening by, Norway's Vemod. I'm not going to talk too much crap about it, but yeah, it's not doing it for me. Next, this is, so in my last couple of collection updates, I've talked about a kind of a little micro genre of bands or albums that I just kind of like have always held married together in a little clutch in my hands for whatever reason. And they are like Hypnotic Sceneries, Vacuum, Polluted Inheritance. Can't think of what it's called. It's right there. Something else. But this is one that I have never had a copy of. And now I do. But this is, out of all of them, I think the most iconic because of how stupid the album cover is. Everything about this is stupid, but the music is great. And I love, so like this could take us to the recent pestilence topic of AI art changing a classic album. This, what am I gonna say? I don't know. The band is called Sad Whisperings, and Sensitive to Autumn is what this album is called. And here is a woman in a graveyard doing some sad whisperings in an ear. And so this, they reissued this, and they didn't change the album cover. Of all the album covers that you would think that a label would change or a band would have a change of heart about, I think this would be one. This is a candidate maybe for changing the album cover to something different, right? Look, even the band, Here's Our Ears. Whisper your sad things into our ears about how you are sensitive to autumn. This is so corny and so cheesy and so good. This is a Dutch death metal band, doomy death metal kind of thing. It's oh wow. Look at them guys. It's unique. It's definitely like adjacent to some things that are, kind of not so great. It's kind of like a precursor to the era when like good death metal bands or death doom metal bands started to release a lot of crap or like change their style to things that were too far gone from what they were known for, like Therion, Tiamat, Amorphous, stuff like that. I feel like bands like this were paving those paths before the bigger bands started to go to shit like that. And there are some gems within that little world like this. So give this a listen. It is really cool. Couple more. So our dear friend Melanie Loves Death Metal recently became unemployed. She's going to be fine. Okay, let's not worry about her, but let's support her and buy records from her. She's selling off a lot of her collection, but the more of it that we buy, the less of it she's going to have to sell off, hopefully. So Melanie, thank you for sending me these records. Happy to have them now. As you may know, I find the voice of King Diamond kind of hard to take. But I consider this as an essential album. I think both of these are essential. In fact, of anything that King Diamond's ever been a part of, Fatal Portrait is my favorite. And, you know, I had to have them. These are Metal Blade reissues from a couple years ago. I was listening to Melissa today, and here's my thing. I'm not going to try and, like, criticize King Diamond necessarily, but here's what my thoughts are. I feel like most people can probably sing just about as good, if not better, than King Diamond. I don't think what he's doing is really all that hard. I can do it. And what I also don't understand is, yes, the music is incredible. It is evocative. But if the music is so good, why doesn't King Diamond shut the fuck up sometimes? Why doesn't he stop? Why doesn't he stop sometimes? Shut up! Shut up sometimes. That's my thoughts. The music is brilliant. But god damn it, King, let me hear them without your fucking... Yeah. So glad to pick those up. Really happy about that. Really happy about how Vertumnus Caesar sounds like Merciful Fate without King Diamond. That's kind of the thing, with some Master's Hammer and some Cat in there. So I've probably taken up about enough of your time in this installment. I think I don't have any other orders of business to communicate with you, but if you like what I do and you want to support me and throw me a couple of bucks, if you go to my Patreon link, there's a shit ton of videos and stuff for you to check out. And the enrollment fee is only $6.66. So I want to do that. And so until next time, I hope you're all doing good. I hope you keep doing good. And cheers. Woohoo! That was a great video, and it was made possible mostly by me, but also thanks to the undying and kind support of my Patreon subscribers. Thank you all. I love you. If you are interested in being a part of my Patreon channel and supporting what I do, you are welcome to join at the URL below. It is only $6.66 per month, and you're going to love it. Thank you.